Oh yeah. We're live.
We're live.
GM.
We got a Jess again.
Oh yeah, I'm back. That's been
You're
fun.
back.
That's
Feels
exciting.
like it feels like it's been like a month since you were on this, but it was just 1 week.
I was golfing, chat. I was golfing.
Yeah.
Incredible golf courses. It was. Whoa.
You actually got called out. I think when we were talking to Lucas last week, he was like, "Oh, is Jess not here today?" He was like, "He's golfing, isn't he?" And I was like, "Yep."
I was literally golfing. I think I hit one of my best shots of all year. It was probably right when I can just feel it was probably when Lucas was judging me. It was 169 yards out. I mean, what an incredible yardage. Little 6-iron to within a foot of the pin. I mean, that keeps me coming back because I didn't play well on Sunday. It was not a fun round. But I'm back.
That was a cold round. We had a team offsite. I flew down a day early. Jess and I golfed in apparently deserts get cold. Who knew?
Everybody assured me that it was like the coldest week of the year, and then it was supposed to be a millimeter of rain, but it poured rain on us. And Josh was sitting there, literally wearing what he's wearing right now, pretty much,
just like
shivering.
No, yeah, swinging a golf club while shaking is not recommended.
Yeah, it's definitely not as effective as you'd hope. So,
nice.
But yeah, I'm stoked to be back. I mean, it feels like, everything's happened. All the things, our dreams, our wishes have come true. The world is now different. Crypto is now legitimate because we forced Gary Gensler to approve an ETF.
Amazing.
Coins are up.
That was fun to be together for. Especially the false alarm. That was
the false alarm was
maybe the best part of the week.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, what a roller coaster. I mean,
I guess we're not up only though, because Bitcoin's down 5% today.
Yeah, that's good. It's healthy. That's healthy.
Yeah. The bags aren't fully packed yet, so
there we go. I woke up yesterday morning and I freaked out because I was like, "Oh my god, the pump has happened."
Yeah, you came running into the kitchen. You were like, "Josh, we fucking missed it."
But it turns out I was looking at a Canadian dollar denominated trading account rather than a US dollar denominated trading account, and it's a meaningful difference. Anyways, man, you've packed this with all sorts of fun stuff, and you've managed to avoid just the weekly tropes that everybody's already talked about too much already. So we get to get into the weeds here again, and it feels fun. Should we do it?
Let's do it. Peace.
Welcome back. I get to kick this off. Another episode of Internet Explorers. What episode are we? Episode 11. Consistency. Love to see it. Very excited to be hanging out with you guys today. Josh, how you doing?
I'm great. Bit of a whirlwind getting home last night, trying to curate topics this morning for this, while being mostly offline because we were trying to focus on figuring out what Seed Club was going to do this year. But we're here and topics are good, so excited to get into it.
Of course, joined by everyone's favorite internet VJ, Peace Node. Checking in.
Hello.
What's up, my man?
Actually, Peace had 2 weeks off too.
I had 2 weeks off.
Nice.
It was weird. It was really good. I super got to connect with family and some friends and take it easy. I even had 2 days actually off, and I just piled out and watched cartoons. It was fantastic. Ate cereal, put cookies in my cereal. Parents weren't home. Shit, it rocked.
And you got sick because you ate 5 donuts or something, right?
Oh, fuck, I did. Yeah, that was bad. It worked out. Puked. But I was like, look, it's my day off. I'm not going to let this spoil my plan. I'm going to the best bakery in America, and I got a box of donuts, and then I died.
Well, we're glad you're back.
Thank you.
I'm glad you made the most of your time off. That sounds like the right way to do it.
Eating donuts following Larry and Barry? You kidding me? Couldn't be better.
Big week.
Yeah.
Week equals big.
What a tweet. All right. Okay, sick. Should we jump in?
Let's do it.
Nice. I guess, if you're watching, reminder, right? If you're watching on YouTube, we're streaming to LinkedIn still. If you're watching on LinkedIn, the place
God help
to be,
you.
the place to God help you. The place to watch this is live.seedclub.xyz. It's where the cozy vibes are. It's where the cool people are hanging out. So come through there if you want to hang out for the next hour. But sick, yeah. So the first topic I pulled in for this week is kind of inspired by a thread that Chris F actually dropped, who is a great follow. I love this guy and his threads. I think this is one I like kind of disagreed with, which is rare. So excited to dig into it. But yeah, basically he dropped this thread highlighting just like the challenges of building in consumer crypto and why he wouldn't build in the space as a founder right now. And I very much agree with most of the challenges he outlines. I think he talks about market size being small, crypto users being mercenary, hard to kind of balance the financial incentives with other forms of motivation. There's a ton of noise, like all the stuff we very intimately know and love. But I guess I just like completely disagree with his conclusion that this makes it not a good time to be here or build here. Like, it's, in my mind, like that's exactly why it's an incredible time to build here. Like, there's this fundamental platform shift happening, with digital value, objects, applications, and eventually much more move onto blockchain rails. And of course, this transition has a ton of uncertainty because of how early we are in it. But it's also why there's so much opportunity, right? Like, very little has actually been built yet that makes this new technology useful to the average person. But we're all here because we believe it's inevitable. So yeah, I guess like, do you take the uncertainty of a platform shift or the like over competition, hyper saturation of Web 2? I don't know. Pretty easy decision for me.
Yeah, I mean, so Chris is really early into NFTs. I think he's a member of Flamingo DAO, but most notably, he was a co-founder of Mint Mobile with Ryan Reynolds, and building in the mobile space through the last 5-10 years. I don't know exactly how long, but they sold out recently, and so definitely has a ton of credibility. He's been in the trenches, has built this, and yeah, shout out. His threads are. I have to bookmark them and come back when I'm in the right mental space to do it, because I need to figure out what the hell he's actually talking about most of the time. But he's a great follow, so shout out Chris. I think that it is interesting to see, though, like it's almost like we need to take thoughts or advice like this through the lens of who that person is and where they are in their life, in their career. And Chris has built it and done it, and is there, and so like the risk reward calculus is very different for somebody like him than it is for, I think, a young person coming out of university or trying to build their career right now. And I think it would be, he sort of sets up this idea of a consumer founder as being a type of person, right? And that crypto needs these consumer founders. So maybe Nikita Bear being the example of a consumer founder, somebody's just able to use social platforms effectively and build really compelling products. But I think, yeah, the response post to this is sort of the myth of the consumer founder. I don't think that that's who we need to have come in here, and that's not who builds in nascent platform shifts and new models. It's people who feel left out of or unable to compete in, or have some other weird itch to go scratch. And consumer founders, I think, as you find them here, are people who come in later. And so yes, definitely, if you want to go build something that's going to reach tens of millions of people and be Facebook scale in a year or two, like, maybe crypto's not the place for it there. Though I think there's still, I don't know if I would totally take the other side of that bet. But I think what we see is, native crypto folks come up who are excited about these new tools and are at the stage of trying to figure out these new business models that can really turn these sort of ideas into big, meaningful businesses. And I think, it's insane to think that we're not in a strong position today compared to where we've been. Now, is there a lot of room to run? 100%, but that's opportunity, baby. That's
exactly.
If you want to be at the edges of something new, this is the exact type of uncertainty and risk that you need to be comfortable playing with. It's the same type of stuff that happened back in the early 90s around the internet. It's the same type of stuff that happened around the early social media. Like, very notable differences. The mercenary piece is definitely a new complication that exists there, but it comes with a ton of new benefits as well. So I think you framed it well in our chat, where you're like, do you want to come deal with the uncertainty here, or do you want to deal with the congestion that exists in Web 2? And frankly, for the longest time, VCs looked at social and consumer as just very difficult to back in the traditional financial system or startup system, right? It was owned by Facebook, owned by these big networks. There's not a lot of room. Why would I go take that risk? And so I think crypto blows that wide open, and it's why I'm very proud to be hanging out with the 100 plus smart people that we get to work with at Seed Club, and very confident that they're going to be building some things that impact the world in a big way.
Yeah, I love that point of like the types of founders that are here and the types of founders that he likely has in his mind when he's writing this. And I think also somewhere in the thread he mentions switching costs. Like the switching costs aren't like the benefits are like don't outweigh the switching costs. And I think most of the stuff that we really see as like consumer crypto products, like you couldn't possibly build this thing in Web 2. So switching costs just isn't even like a concept that makes sense. And I think maybe the last point here is just like the size of the market. Like I think so much of what excites us about crypto is we have different business models that allow you to, build useful, valuable things around smaller numbers of people. Like you don't need to have, millions of people using your product to, run ads against it and monetize it, right? Like you can build things that have a ton of value flowing through it with, the 10,000 like very obsessed online affluent people that are here ready to touch your thing. So yeah. Like the thread, it was a good kind of like reality check, like reminder of how weird and hard this shit is, but just made me more excited, I think.
Agreed. Shout out to Chris. I mean, I love these things that just kind of like really force you to be more sharp in your thinking, and so Chris is good for that.
No doubt. Okay, sick. Let's jump over to very much like the other side of this. I just can't. I continue. I don't know. I don't know any of the Z Prime guys, but I just continue to love everything they put out. So hopefully I'll get to chat with them one day. You may know them, Jess. But yeah, they dropped another great post this week, just really like making the case for people to stop hating speculation focused products. Like I think we've long been in this camp, but they really, I guess they set the stage for like how important speculation is to innovation. How kind of greed and desire to make it at kind of the individual level, very often like bubbles up to very useful societal properties at like the societal level. And I think the same can be true at like the product level as well. So anyways, wrote this great article. Basically, their point is the majority of physical objects, have had digital representations for years. And these are now moving onto blockchains alongside, a proliferation of new digital native objects. And, this is really just like exploding the ease and speed that we can speculate on anything and everything. And that this just really should not be taken as a blanket bad thing, right? Like, of course, there are downsides. Yeah, so just saying kind of the greed and desire for wealth status at the individual level ultimately scales like innovation and quality of life improvements and job creation and taxes and, all this stuff that we like, are just strong kind of societal benefits. And then I think, you can look at the same at the product level, right? Like take prediction markets, for example, the just like deep desire to make money at the individual level, like incentivizes this person to, a person to search for signal among this like deep sea of noise. And then when hundreds or thousands of people do this, you end up with this great approximation of the odds of an outcome. And, the opinions of an individual journalist are just like dramatically less truthful in comparison. So there's like this very useful use case of speculations, right? And I think, even meme coins are another example where, memes are they're the language of the internet, right? And memes are just incredibly useful for coordination and communication. And being able to bet on things like cultural importance can just probably incentivize more people to participate in the creation of culture, and the increased like legibility and capital formation can probably improve their usefulness as coordination and communication tools. So I don't know, I think just like effectively facilitating speculation on anything may just be a key part of solving many of the challenges that exist in like creator monetization and content attribution and content filtering and, truth discovery and kind of all this stuff that we know we're dealing with in kind of the Web 2 world. And, of course, the majority of experiments we're running aren't going to effectively do this, but, they kind of need to run to inform the ones that ultimately will. So love the article. Yeah, Jess, curious what your takes on it were.
I mean, I think any article that, references ancient Greece just has a ton of credibility in it. So let's go back right to the original speculation. I mean, I think like it's funny how this is just. I mean, clearly it's an important topic, and there's such emotion around this, and I think it's important to sort of be able to step back from it. And I think the Z Prime guys do a really great job here at kind of adding more context, because I think if you sort of look at an instance or zoom in very closely, speculation can result in a bunch of really negative outcomes. And I think we suffer from those outcomes to this day. I think there was a piece, what was the band that was going to launch an NFT and then was no longer allowed to launch an NFT because their fans, I mean, it's probably hundreds of them, but again, happened this week. And
that was Flying a Boss. And I just Flying a Boss, who are super fun. And I just noticed they actually did squeak a couple tokens in. So like they canceled the launch on sound.xyz, but 7 tokens exist, including the, what is it, golden ticket or whatever they call it over there on sound. So the ultra rare is out there. It's great.
Ooh, there we go. So look out. But I mean, like the big barrier I think we have as a space is breaking through just the pure absurdity of speculation and into something that people can really sink their teeth in and see long-term value out of. And so, we spent a bunch of time talking about meme coins here recently, and the while I'm also very pro meme coin, I think the reality is it's a very zero-sum game that people are playing there, and that as much as people win, people lose, and that isn't really like the ultimate manifestation of this. But I think if we think that we can kind of get to that ultimate manifestation without going through speculation, I mean, it feels like we're playing this game with our 2 hands tied behind our back, maybe than just one. If we're trying to, if the world is really about hacking attention, or if that is truly the valuable resource, which I think many folks have written about, and many projects are built upon. Our ability to get into that attention and to capture that attention is very much a product of speculation, whether that's just somebody's time speculating with attention or ultimately with capital as well. So I think I always like to try to really take a balanced approach to this, and I think the idea that speculation is a precursor to solving some of the bigger problems or opportunities that we see in the space, I think is very true in my mind. I think we think that purely meme tokens are like the end manifestation of what crypto could be is just wrong. I think a lot of people talk about crypto right now as being like the slot machine. I put a dollar in and maybe I win, maybe I lose. I think the other machine that we see is the vending machine, right? Which is like maybe more of the utility token narrative. And I think I spent an embarrassingly long amount of time talking to DALI last week, trying to get it to give me the perfect version of a slot machine and a vending machine together. But I think that's probably, and it didn't really work, but it was kind of fun.
You got a kind of good one.
It was a kind of good one. Yeah. I think like these things coming together is ultimately what blockchains kind of enable. So I have 2 things that I think I have non-consensus takes on. One, I think cults are good, but I think maybe I have a bit of a different definition of cults. And I think speculation is good, but I do have a more nuanced view of speculation, and it is not the end goal. It is just sort of the beginning to it. And so, specifically what I look for there, what are the new mechanisms that are emerging as, these sort of cycles merge on that take that attention and take that speculative interest and can turn it into more long-term value. And I think that's like the big opportunity for anybody building in the space is either to go build one of those things or to be an early adopter of one of those things. And if you, I think, look back at the history of crypto, you'll see that so much of the many of the things that are new and exciting and actually maintain have really been born out of one of these new mechanisms that have emerged. We spent a lot of time talking about protocol rewards recently. I think that's a big one that we're really interested in right now. Meme tokens being another. Pro speculation, and I think posts like this are great because so much of the discourse on Twitter and even Farcaster around speculation good, speculation bad, we're talking to echo chambers and not having those more nuanced conversations. And so diving in a little bit deeper is I think really important here.
Yeah, totally. And I think even just seeing how, Friend Tech ran this experiment that clearly wasn't, or in its current form at least, the right thing, but the amount of experimentation that it then informed that were like meaningful, kind of improvements or at least like changes to kind of this like underlying mechanic that clearly had some legs in some way. I think like that's how we're going to get there, right? It's just like these big step change experiments that open people's mind to some new user behavior or way to price something that couldn't previously be priced, and then kind of leverage that into.
And shout out prediction markets, man. Like Polymarket was the place to check to see what was happening with the Bitcoin ETF. It was by far the best place, and it was correct. And I think we've seen and that has been I mean, what, 4 or 5 years, if not longer, that product has been in development. And of course, there were examples before that. But I think it's a great example of sort of leveraging speculation into things that maybe takes longer than you want, but into mechanics here that ultimately are valuable businesses, both for the users and ultimately for the protocol as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was cool going there, seeing what, like 90%, 90 cent yes or whatever, 90% chance it got approved without hearing any news, right? Or seeing anything. It was like, clearly somebody here knows something and they're putting money behind it. So it's probably right. And I think, I don't know, it's going to be a big year for news, right? US election cycles,
Taiwanese election cycles. We got all
more
sorts of wars
stuff
happening. We'll see, right?
Yeah.
You were on the right side of that prediction market, right? You walked away with a couple pennies from that?
No, of course not. I don't bet on favorites. I don't ever bet on favorites.
Yeah. I'm an underdog guy.
I'm an underdog guy.
Yeah.
Nice, cool. Yeah, they also in that article dropped, I think, a handful of projects they interested in. A couple of them I hadn't heard of before that I think are just poking at interesting speculative mechanics there. So recommend checking those out. All right,
Peace, nice. Can we catch up our blue box on the side? We're behind. We'll move one more forward here. I mean, this is pure absurdity. I love it.
Yeah, this is absurdity, but in like a pretty cool way. So I was actually, so Notcoin is this interesting experiment that's basically like they're focused on trying to onboard people into crypto and specifically onto Ton through this very like simple Telegram based game. It was cool. I found, and I can share it after, found the video of the builder announcing it. So got to kind of tap into like the thinking behind it and why he was doing it. But basically, like, they're just trying to build the craziest simple game that you don't need a wallet for, you don't need gas tokens for, you don't need literally anything up front or even any understanding of crypto that can attract as many people as possible, that they can then kind of fairly distribute a token through, which then the token will show up in these people's wallets. There will be some value there, and then they're kind of heavily incentivized to go figure out what to do with them. So basically, like, what this game is you literally just tap, you open up the Telegram app and you tap a coin to mine Notcoin. Like, you literally just tap it, and the more you tap, the more Notcoin you get. And you can buy boosts and form squads, and I think they're kind of constantly adding stuff to make the game a bit more fun. But like, the core of it is literally just tapping the coin, and their numbers are crazy right now. So I think I checked just before this, and they had 8.8 million total players, 2.7 million daily active users. And, of course, it's always hard to know how many uniques there are. But interestingly, like in this game, the incentives are actually to do everything under one account, because your earning potential grows as you progress. So I think it's definitely like a huge number underlying this. So I don't know, it's worth playing with. I think, I don't know a ton about Ton, but could kind of see this becoming a leading meme coin on the network because of just how widely it's being distributed. Like, if there's genuinely 8.8 million players, or something even close to that, like that's a token going to in a lot of people's hands. The story of it onboarding millions onto this network will probably be pretty powerful, and I'm sure they'll have some like ongoing gameplay and stuff to like continue driving attention. So yeah, worth checking out just because of how funny and simple it is, but also like, yeah, who knows what's going to happen next.
Just tapping the button. You explained it to me, and I was like, "What?" And then you showed it to me, and you just sat there at dinner tapping this thing, and then we team tapped it for a little while. That was kind of fun.
Yeah,
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because it's a new distribution metric. It made me think of the was it the Mischief or the Mr. Beast game where like you had to hold your finger on the phone for the longest time, and you could sort of win and stuff like. So it's kind of some fun angles to kind of get into there, but it's really, I mean, we talk a lot about just and have it on the stream already, right? Talked about the value of attention. Like, somebody sitting there and tapping a button is like maybe the dumbest form of attention, but ultimately it is attention. And I'm sure there are a million ways to game it. I already see the phone farms out there that are just tapping with, you know, rubber hands all the time, etc. I'm sure, you know, exist as well. But there's something just beautiful about the simplicity of the whole thing, and it's kind of funny to me that they actually don't even show on their Twitter account the ultimate thing. I think Peace is looking for
I can't believe they
button.
don't. I'm trying to find it. I also can't believe. I hope this is real. Like, I'm gonna have to watch the whole Richie Rich movie just to find this scene now. But I think they got this logo from. Is this a money gun or like what is this? It's some Richie Rich invention that they like. They're like, no, fuck it, that's good enough. Like, run it. That's our logo. I hope it's not just AI. Who can say these days? But that's great.
I mean, just look at the scale of reach and distribution you can get for something super simple, right? It's like the pure manifestation of speculative token incentives, and actually, well, we'll see. I mean, I think I'm going to go tap a button just because I want to see what happens when a token is launched this way. And I think, you know, in our other travels, we see, you know, there's a really rich, I guess, ecosystem of builders that are coming at it from really simple gameplay mechanics right now that I think are definitely worthwhile paying attention to. I think there'll be a couple launching in the next week or so. So if you're not in our test flight club, just make sure you drop an application there. We're continuing to expand that. I know there's probably a bunch of people on the list still, but early access to some of these fun things. I don't know if I would.
I think also just like shouldn't underestimate the power of like a bit of an airdrop to just give people some play money to come and like really explore the space, right? Like I think early bull market, like I think the bankless airdrop, like a lot of people were subscribed to their newsletter that maybe hadn't like fully onboarded the space. You know, they launched bank, a bunch of people suddenly had like a couple $1,000 to go explore like DeFi with. And then suddenly, then you get hooked, right? Like you need to touch this stuff and like really feel why it's different to understand. Right. So I think, you know, even if it's $100 into tons of people's wallets, like that's enough to go do some stuff with.
Yeah, and doing it in a way where you're actually not having to sign up for an onboard and bridge and everything. It really expands the service area for who can come and participate. Yeah. So, I mean, that's my bull case for the bull market isn't ETF. It's the fact that there are a whole bunch of teams out there who've been sitting on token launches for the last little while, waiting for new energy to come back in the space. Who, you know, once the Jito airdrop happened, are like, okay, now we got to go. And so, you know, crypto's magical ability to create value out of nothing is, you know, that's probably biggest strength. And I think we're going to be coming into a pretty juicy area here in the next little while.
Great timing. Peace just casually staking on EtherFi right now.
Got to get those points.
Yeah. I'm trying to get some points here. We're going Eigen. You said you just push buttons to make money. I was like, I'm going to go restake on the Eigen layer for exactly that.
Go push some buttons.
Hey, EtherFi is great because you get two points, two types of points, not just one. Let's go.
All the points.
Is that true? Okay. So what did I just do? I have no idea.
Well, you got to go to the app. So go to stake and then go to your portfolio.
Nice. Oh, and baby.
You'll start to see your EtherFi loyalty points go up and your EigenLayer loyalty points go up and points go up. And you know, I mean, for builders that are looking at how to go leverage points and maybe build a bit of a viral loop, these restaking and definitely in the Solana ecosystem as well, they've really got some interesting user flows there. I don't think I've ever had a desire to give. I mean, I'm like, points. Are they really that? I like tokens more than points, but you know, I gave them my email just so I could get some extra points in EtherFi. Like, of course I did. It works.
So EtherFi, this is one button restaking. So I'm staked and restaked right now.
Yeah, so they stake it on EigenLayer. Depending on what you stake, the pools on EigenLayer may be full, or they were last time I checked on it. So they seem to be opening that up on a regular basis. But so that might be the only reason you don't get it right away. But yeah, that's how she works.
Oh, chill.
Not financial advice. We don't have any involvement in EtherFi. You know, I think the fear here is that there's smart contract risk on these things, etc. So just disclaimer, but I'm farming.
True. I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm doing. But this is like, with EigenLayer, can't you like restake your
not yet
ST ETH? Oh, you can't. You can't stake your ST ETH.
Yeah, your ETH. I think it's ETH.
Only ETH.
It's like liquid. It's liquid restaking, right? So you you
Is
restake, get a liquid token. I don't think EigenLayer has a liquid like restaking token, so that's the benefit of doing it through this.
Got you.
Yeah, you can just stake your staked ETH here directly into EigenLayer if you want to, and maybe a smart thing to do if you believe in that project. But
but it's like they only let so many at a time or something. It's going to be a while till these are open.
It looks like those are all open still though, so I think they probably expanded it. Yeah.
No, Lido's not. I think
yes. You can see the top there. The top.
Some of the like longer tail of smaller liquid stake tokens are
currently paused.
Yeah.
That's smart.
I've never heard of Swell until it was the only pathway for me to stake on EigenLayer, and so
it's amazing what incentives you.
Yeah, true. It's not nothing. Okay. Anyway,
okay, cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's
I had to do
this is great.
Some banking.
Let's jump over to RetroPGF. So Optimism, I'm sure everyone saw it, but Optimism just announced the recipients of their massive third round of RetroPGF, where they distributed over, I guess, $120 million at current prices, unless something's changed dramatically over the last 2 hours, which is very possible. But yeah, to like OP ecosystem builders. So I don't know. I haven't personally spent a ton of time around public goods funding to like really understand the nuances of it, but I think it strikes me both as like absolutely insane and amazing that we have networks and mechanisms that can distribute that much value and like support like business modelless yet like very valuable work at this scale. Like that's just kind of mind-blowing, right? If you think about kind of like Web 2 alternatives. But also I guess like at kind of quick glance seemed pretty inefficient, maybe considering that the amount of like venture-backed startups and things nobody is using getting funding as well. So I don't know, regardless, clearly a huge win for the network, especially when you consider all the attention it got just based on the size of some of these grants. And yeah, of course, great for builders, great use case of governance. So we love to see it, but kind of want to spend some more time thinking about this.
I mean, I think that the right context is it's an evolved way of doing an airdrop. So OP did their original airdrops, but now I think the majority of the sort of OP tokens that have been set aside or will be distributed through RetroPGF in various ways. And I think there's a bunch of strengths to it, right? We're seeing this done in smaller, like, Base does this in a very more ad hoc way where they're just sort of rewarding people who build good stuff. I think, it's a very powerful way of actually ensuring that people who are actually creating value on the network do get ownership in it rather than just sort of this blanket airdrop. And so I think, exciting to see an evolution of how we do airdrops. I think there's definitely a big open question around how effective this is ultimately. And I think that's only going to, bear out over the next coming months. My understanding is that these are sort of streamed out on a monthly basis rather than just being completely distributed all at once. And so, theoretically, you'd assume that the price would go down as these things hit. But I think, there's just interesting tension if you think of a builder, in a more traditional airdrop model, the worst thing to do would be not go as big as possible and capture the maximum amount of attention as possible. If you're able to kind of break in and be seen as this category leader, there's a remarkable staying power with values in these things. You look across all sorts of different networks that are out in the top 100 in crypto have originated in some way there. And so I think this is an interesting evolution of it. There's a ton of governance experiments that the OP team's been doing here as well. And yeah, I think at the same time you look at it and you go like, there are a number of very large, well-funded, teams in here that are walking away with hundreds of thousands of dollars in value here. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Time will tell. But again, it's a new mechanism, and I think getting this sort of rewarding people for doing good things without directly incentivizing them to do it beforehand, I think is just so powerful, and especially if we're trying to get useful things built rather than just a maximum amount of shitty things built. And so I know we have a number of teams that we work with that have receiving grants here. They're very excited about it. They built awesome things, so stoked to see that money come into them. There was this sort of moment, I guess, a couple of weeks ago where people were kind of shaming venture-backed founders for participating in these types of in public goods funding. So there was an interesting debate that happened around there. what was my reaction was like, God damn, why didn't we jump in there? Like we
100%.
probably should have, right? Like I want free money as well.
I mean, that was actually, that's what's funny about John's tweet here is it was kind of going through this thought process, right? He was like, oh, it's insane that, these projects that no one is using and maybe venture backed got this in proportion to WAGMI. And then like 3 tweets later, he's like, not applying is a huge regret of mine.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's gonna be cool.
It's interesting. I mean, I think that also just it is public goods funding, but I think Optimism was running their BD that way. It's like everyone that they were doing integrations and collaborations with, they were saying like, yeah, we're not offering money, but please go through and apply for our public goods funding round. Like that's just what it was for and how they were running with coordinating with people. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's no shame because surely there's people who also just got nominated and won on that list too. Or like we know there are.
Yeah.
So
it's
great.
For sure.
It's honestly, I feel like they would just be better off just not calling it public goods funding and calling it like ecosystem funding or something, and then people aren't going to worry about venture-backed projects applying. And but it was cool. I saw a bunch of tweets from I think like doing dashboard builders or even like Zach. I'm gonna get whatever. Just being like just knowing about the existence of this thing kind of like gave me permission to like spend more time on this side project of mine that I wanted to do, but it's harder to justify kind of among other options. So I think, great to see that. I think Kofi, exactly.
Free money to grow crypto, like let's go. And I think it's will be a really great case study to dive into in 6 months, just to look back on the entirety of it and sort of the strategy that was run out from it, and what worked, what didn't. And I still think that there's just so much room to run in doing airdrops and distributions better. And, some of the most interesting experiments, I think, over the last couple of years have been really around how to be more effective at giving value to people who are creating value in a network. It's still a very difficult thing to do. So I love seeing these projects and experiments in the wild.
No doubt. All right, cool. Let's jump over to Berachain. Just you shared this one with me. I'm happy to like set it up if you want, but also happy to let you just like jam on what you found interesting about it.
Yeah, so I had the pleasure of meeting some of the Berachain team a while back, and I think it started off as like an NFT project, and then got some funding, and then they're building out a EVM L2, L1. I guess it's an L1 in the Cosmos ecosystem. And for me, it really stood out as just like, I mean, these guys are weird in just the way I like it. They're all bears on Twitter, and there's this like clear, deep belief and community that they've built there, and they were able to harness that attention to really innovate and drive something new forward. And so I think their testnet went live, and they dropped their token model. I haven't done a deep dive on it in the way that I would love to, but I think David Phelps had a good tweet that kind of broke it down a bit. I think they have these two different types of tokens. One that you can stake to secure the network and pay sort of gas fees on the network, and the others is, I think, just one that you actually, I think, one you earn from staking in the network, and represents governance. So separating governance from sort of the gas, I guess, token seems really interesting. There's some sort of trade-offs you have to make as a participant in that network on what you actually believe in, and where you kind of want to see your value accrue. And so, you can't stake your liquidity and use it too. And governance can't be bought; it can only be earned. And so, there's another example of just a new mechanism that I think. I mean, we'll see how it plays out, but this is the type of stuff that gets me excited. And immediately I start thinking about, okay, well, how would this change how I'm approaching things as a builder in the space? Like what new doors does this open? I don't have any big insights there yet, but I mean, just shout out to the team for doing some cool things.
No, I mean, I think even in the context of DAOs or even like social DAOs, it's interesting, right? If you have, I think I just love, again, seeing like the success of meme coins. It's like, they're just so powerful in the, I guess, just like the fluidity of them. And, you don't have to make any like hard kind of promises in them, but there's still this like very strong rallying point for community. So it's kind of cool to think about like, a dual token model for social DAOs that are kind of a token that's kind of more like meme-y and meme focused. It's kind of this like rallying, maybe there's some like, cool games or something or mechanisms within the network that you can do with that. But then also like these kind of having a more like kind of narrow core contributions that you can do to actually like earn governance So I think, yeah.
And there's something about so you can only earn, I think, PCB to scan up there a little bit. So you earn BGT from staking, so securing the network, and you can transfer that into Bera, which is the liquid token. So BGT being non-transferable, also having governance rights, but Bera being transferable and liquid.
I think another really cool thing is staking in Bera is actually also providing liquidity to their like native DeFi products. So it like assuming it all works, and I haven't gone deep enough, nor am I enough of an expert to know, but staking, like there's an improved capital efficiency in staking, because you're not just staking to secure the network, you're staking to secure the network and provide liquidity to all of these like native DeFi products that they're building and others can tap into. So yeah, a lot of, I don't know, definitely worth checking out. I think the more I kind of clicked around, just the more like meme infused it was, and like the kind of genesis story is very, I think the NFT project was like a rebasing NFT project. So they would rebase the NFT project by launching new collections kind of based on the original ones. So anyways, just like a bunch of really interesting stuff. I'm sure, I don't know, I think it has a lot of attention. A lot of people talk about it. I think it's definitely one that's worth playing around with to get a better sense of and get a, I don't know.
Look how much juice those docs have too. Look at those. Those are some docs.
It gets complicated. It gets complicated in a hurry, but I don't know. At the surface level, it seems cool.
Yeah, doing a dual token model in a way that feels simple and easy to understand is no small feat. So,
no doubt. Nice. Okay, let's jump over to So requests for startups. So I saw a handful of requests for startups come over out of the last few days. I think Alliance dropped one, Variant dropped one, maybe a few others dropped one, and I don't know. I just felt like it was a good opportunity for us to maybe jam and share a few of ours that we have. I think, the thing that always hits me with most of these is just like how like kind of boring they are, and like uninterested. It's like, crypto payments, like sick, great, of course, like that needs to happen. It's a core use case, but I don't know. I think we like thinking about the kind of weirdest shit we could possibly come up with on this new tech. So just want to kind of create some space for us to maybe share some weird ideas we have. Peace. I know you're sitting on some, so I don't know who wants to kick it off or
what are some of the, can we just scroll through some of these ones? I haven't actually looked at this. So we have real world assets, collateralized lending, exciting, prediction markets. Ooh, here we go. Privacy DeFi. I mean, yeah, it's like
this is like I can't hang.
Still the Luna sting.
Shit, man. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I don't understand debt. Won't pretend to. I don't earn that many points on my credit card. I probably could be earning more, but you know what? I just pay it off at the end of the month and count my blessings. And don't understand why anyone wants under collateralized lending on volatile assets. I don't get it. And
yeah, I think that last piece is the core piece there. I don't think it's necessary that it's, I mean, I guess it is today, but yeah, okay. Yeah. So a lot of, I mean, DeFi Alliance, a lot of DeFi stuff makes a ton of sense. Do you have the variant one up as well? Fully on-chain games. All right, we get into some non-financial.
They actually have some better ones at the bottom.
They know something I don't.
So personal tokens. Yeah, here we're into our world here. I love seeing 10K PFPs here.
Yeah,
I love it.
Same. It's an awesome.
Is dead.
Yeah, it's great. DAOs is digital nations.
All right, this is cool. Yeah, shout out to the Alliance team for putting this out. I think I'm excited to do one of these, Josh. I think we should do one as well.
Yeah, we should for sure.
Yeah.
This would be awesome. This seems like just a mere clone would damn near get it there, but
I think it's just going to make it even more clear how messed up that entire market is for base scientific publications. That's better. Get rid of open and market based. Just call it base scientific publications and call it a day.
Yeah.
Battling AI deepfakes. Yeah. A lot of juice there. Love to see it.
A lot of juice. Yeah, it's pretty extensive, honestly.
Good job.
I think one that maybe I'll throw, I had like 5 minutes before this and furiously jotted down a few ideas that I'm excited by. So one, I mean, a lot of my time right now is just like not laying there thinking about meme tokens, but meme tokens like just continue permeating my consciousness in downtimes. And I think like two ideas that I'm really interested kind of within the meme coin world is just like one that's just I don't know, just like a better design, or like a holistic meme coin trading product that just kind of eliminates the need to just go through all these like janky steps to participate. So I think there's like a really interesting opportunity just building a, I don't know, product that like maybe lightly curates coins, make sure there's no rugs, you know, has like global friends leaderboards, kind of shows feeds of memes associated with tokens, and generally just like demystifies their participation for wider audiences. Like I think kind of like a, you know, more of like a social kind of Robinhood like thing for meme coins could be interesting if you do it in the right way. And I think that's the second meme coin thing that I just continue thinking about is like using meme coins as more of like social primitives, or as like primitives to build products on top of. So one of them that keeps coming up is like a product for sports fans where you're like competing against other teams' fans to have the most valuable memes coins. Like if there's a Leafs meme coin, or even like specific players, or just like kind of this like social sports fan product where that's kind of the core of the experience. And I think that there are opportunities for that in like so many different verticals, right? Like, you know, an app for new music discovery using artist meme coins as a core mechanic instead of like worrying about music NFTs and kind of getting all like serious about that, right? You can just use the, you know, an up and coming artist meme coin to
look at this. Variant has attention betting apps talking about the exact thing that you're talking about here.
Do they?
Yeah. Top creators like Mr. Beast create videos with views that rival the eyeballs of NFL games, fantasy games, or betting. And betting already exists around sports, but now social media and players of the great online game, shout out to Packy, are large enough to have their own betting and prediction marketplaces. Think of sports betting for social media on crypto rails. Like, heck yes. I mean, you see like the Unlonely Team and the dating show that they put on, it's kind of had prediction markets in on who would win and what would choose. Like, it's just a fun thing to be a part of. It has social context that maybe doesn't, that has a very, very focused social context. It's there for either in the instance of a game or you know, in a stream. I'm very happy that stream is offline because Brian is unhinged and clearly did it hit 0.0001 ETH? I thought it was 0.0003 ETH, and then so he probably needed to go to bed. But but it's fun, you know, and you start to see how you can bring in a bunch of, you know, the UX really makes being there fun. You know, if you buy one of these tokens, there's a bunch of shit that pops up, etc. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a super interesting thread.
Yeah, I think maybe the last one that I liked, and we've talked about it a few times because Xerox Designer tweets about them, and I think you push back on them and whatever. We've kind of been like teasing out the idea of like everything apps, anything apps. So I don't know. I would like to see some people trying variations of them just to like see what happens. So I think one example that comes to mind is like I think like the interesting opportunity is to have like a really well branded kind of like mimetic product that is targeting like a very specific type of user and like, you know, bundling the things that they would want to do. So I think like just think about like Boys Club as an example. It's like, you know, imagine like a Boys Club app that like curates the DeFi protocols and on-chain games and on-chain media for their like very kind of like specifically defined community with like, you know, the Boys Club vibes intact and infused throughout. Like I think that would just be really interesting to see what the adoption would be like.
Yeah, I feel the more that Xerox Designer tweets about everything apps, the less I have a remote clue what the hell he's talking about or what his definition is for everything apps. So yeah, but I do think like what we do see is, you know, if you're looking at DeFi, you see these sort of very vertical or focused type of products that are now moving horizontal. And, you know, I think a deep belief I have is that really like the core competitive edge in the space is brand, right? It's attention. And so if you're able to go, and I think this is like the bull case for social DAOs or networks that have captured mimetic value, is that if you have that attention, you can start to expand the services and offerings and bring in new revenue opportunities from it. I think Bonk is a great example of this. Like to most, Bonk is just this wild meme coin, but if you look underneath the hood, like there's a bunch of DeFi tools and trading bots and stuff that's driving real revenue to it as well. And so I expect we'll see that happen more and more. And it's really, you know, the natural in a world where you can fork and everything's composable, like repackaging, it's sort of this unbundled world right now. Rebundling those up for a specific user, I think, is just a huge opportunity.
Yeah. All value is going to flow to the like sources of attention or the aggregators of attention, right? So at some point when you're big enough, it's gonna make a lot of sense to do this. And yeah, I think what BonkBot's kind of pushing on, like the buying back of Bond or Bonk, or burning of Bonk as the revenues come through, is a really interesting mechanic that, like, if a community is rallying around this core token, it's the core selling point, and you can kind of use the usage of your products, as a way to pump the price or pretty powerful.
Sustain the value of the
Sustain the value.
Does Peace have some ideas?
He must.
Dude, well, I just straight up I got a vision of the Everything app. It's so straightforward. It's so easy. I can't wait. I'm going to try and bang it out by next week. We'll see. No, I'm just kidding. But
you had me excited there for a second.
I really do, but I don't know if I'll have it done next week. And it really is so straightforward, and I really am excited about this idea design. But here, I had a call for a startup the other day because everyone got excited about the Rabbit One.
Oh yeah,
you got very excited about it. Every time I looked over this week, you had it on your phone and you're just staring at it.
Yeah, but I don't think that it does what I want it to do. But so my call to startups, because I'm just not gonna be able to do this, tragically, don't have the know-how, and we're focused on some other things here. But it's an AI hardware device that's just a damn hard wallet, and hooks into an app similar to DexScreen and utilizes a trading bot UI like Unibot or Soul Trading Bot, but basically allows me to keep master keys that are just unscathed by contract interaction, generates disposable private keys, manages all the transfers between those accounts whenever I want to open a trade. And also it needs to come with a token like Bonk or whatever they want to call it. You could call it like Rabbit Token 10 ENU. And I would hella invest immediately. I just think it's so funny. Like what was the thing like? I mean, this is a good question. Why does it need AI? It straight up might not need AI, but it would be cool if I had this thing on my hip that I could talk to like Siri.
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing that Rabbit did was they sort of coined this term, a large action model, right? So instead of just totally. It learns how to do specific actions, and so I think that's maybe the argument there. Whether that's AI or not, I don't know.
Piece the thought of you just walking around with like a Walkman looking like meme coin trading device is just exceptional. The perfect image. So
like I pictured one of those sort of trucker gamer headsets that he wears. It just plugs right in, and it needs wires to it for some reason.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
And you can
here we go. This is the go-to-market. What did I say? Is that really what I said? Yeah. I want a voice-activated device to trade illiquid shitters on goofy-ass chains, like me banging on my beeper, generating private keys, and flipping funny metadata. So that's your go-to-market, and I know I'm not the only one.
Well, I mean, you're on trend here. I think we talked a couple of weeks ago about the Solana phone and the Bonk airdrop being like a big driver of adoption of why people bought that thing. Like embedded tokens with hardware devices seems like super interesting. It's actually kind of a fun way to actually distribute tokens or sell tokens, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think the other part of the pitch that you gave me, at least when we were hanging out, was that it needed to come with a bag. So
yeah,
you just needed a bag with it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's got to be loaded with a bag. I mean, that R1 was $200. Like, man, kidding me? 2 Sol, 0.1 ETH. That's so chill. There's more than 10,000 of us if you want to sell units.
Get the units going.
Yeah.
It's so funny that when you said comes with a bag, I was actually thinking about like a literal case bag, not a bag of tokens. So rest in peace, me. Maybe you could have both.
That would be nice, like a microfiber bag. Wouldn't be so bad, you know.
No, I think it'd be I would like a nice little case for it at least.
I actually am a bag maximalist. Like I travel with empty bags just in case.
This is why it was such a natural thing for me to assume. So
Exactly.
I love that.
That's crazy.
I'm getting excited. I'm standing up right now. There's more. I got another idea. I think there should just be more micropayments games, honestly. So I maybe I've talked about this on the stream before, but I want like it's the tomato squeegee game that I'm envisioning. And I basically want like Instagram with micropayments where like every time I don't like something, it throws a tomato on their post. And the more people that throw tomatoes, the more the post gets covered up. And the only way to uncover it is to squeegee it off. And both of those things are like equal micropayments. And it's just a game where we like litter and clean it up.
That's a great idea.
You know, I think
honestly, we need to get that into like Patrick's hands or something. I'm sure they could do like a cool variation of that for a drop.
Oh, they got some fun stuff they're working on right now, though. Ooh,
they do. Yeah,
I cannot wait.
Yeah. Lightning. We got 4 minutes. We got a lightning.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We don't have many. It was again we were at an offsite till yesterday. Scrambled on the play. Yeah. I don't even know if he's serious or if this is a joke.
No, he's definitely serious. Okay, so I mean, I am a closet all-in podcast listener. I don't know if I really want to be super public about that because I think they're pretty cringe in many ways. But it loops me back in every week. And one of the big trends they've been talking about is just how AI is going to disrupt enterprise software, and the idea that with Copilot and all these AI tools, you can really just like very effectively and inexpensively turn something that maybe you're paying $1,000 per user per year on into like your own purpose-built version of it for fractions of the cost of developing it. And I think to me, this kind of reminds me just of crypto generally, right? Where once something's been built, you can, and it's open source, it just drastically decreases the cost of deploying a new one. And a big part of the everything app thesis we just talked about is sort of built on that. So it sounds like what he's trying to do is really go in and build an accelerator, an incubator that works with large enterprises or people with ideas there, and ultimately uses these new AI tools to very cost effectively build specific or cheaper versions of these things. And it made me think a lot about Calendly and cal.com and a bunch of the other apps that emerged after it. I think the fair pushback on this is like that. I think the guys are drastic. I mean, actually, listening to the episode from last week on my drive home yesterday, they both in one breath said that AI is going to, drastically change the cost basis for building new applications, et cetera. And then in the other breath said that AI is nowhere near close enough to being product ready. The cost isn't low enough. The throughput isn't fast enough to kind of go build these apps based on LLMs. So I think there's just like an over indexing on maybe what we can do today, but I think the trend is probably worth watching. And it's again, for those of us building on crypto, I think it definitely checks those boxes. So interesting to see. But
it's interesting to just think about what happens when, it gets almost free to like create and deploy software. Like where does value accrue, right? And I think, we're believers that it accrues to probably brand and community at that point, which, is a big reason we're excited by crypto and crypto communities and crypto networks.
Yeah, I think, I would pay close attention to the best programmers and understand how they're using these tools right now. And I've, talked to a number over the last little while, really exceptional builders who are very doubtful about the value of sort of Copilot and sort of these tools to their coding environments. But I think for many others, it's been a pretty clear unlock. And I think that's maybe the right way to look at it. Is it's AI right now, especially as it comes to product development, is really expanding the capabilities of like the juicy middle of developers, and clearly a lot of reasons why that could have a big impact on startups, on development, go to market, the economy generally. So
yeah,
interesting to see.
And hopefully it means less funding for copycat SaaS products and more for novel, weird internet experiments that are socially and culturally motivated.
Weird that we want to put our time, attention, and money there rather than building
really
consumer copycat apps in Web 2. Come on, Chris. Come on. Boring. It's boring. Well, the hour flew by. Always a pleasure to hang out with you, gentlemen, and shout out to everybody in the chat. Of course, this episode is mintable on pods.media. You can do it in the chat at live.seedclub.xyz. We're here every Friday. Some of us, at the very least, will be here every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We just did an offsite, and a big topic of conversation was what do we want to do with Internet Explorers? It's been incredibly fun to run this thing, and we have some fun things planned for the next quarter or two that come out on that. But deep love and appreciation for everybody who comes and hangs out with us here, and excited to see you again next week.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.